Welcome back, everyone. Now we are about to enter in the finals of the North American qualifiers for the Allied Esports Rainbow Six Siege Minor. It has been an exciting day of tense matches between the EU finals, semi-finals, and just now the semi-finals for North America, where Spacestation Gaming managed to win it overall, but in the second match was very tight and went into overtime, much closer than I think anyone expected, and performances that all teams should be proud of. As you can see, this is the qualifying broadcast schedule, which we're now coming into the finals for North America. We're about to find out who is it going to actually make it through to the Vegas finals that will be happening in June. It's been a great chance, and now also, before I throw it over to the host, the casters, we have a chance to win a HyperX bundle. Just like before, go to Twitter, follow us on Allied Esports, and comment on the pinned post, which is about the final match, and let us know who you think is going to win. This is the best bundle that we have had so far. It has a Cloud Alpha headset, it has the Pulsefire Surge mouse, and it also has a really great Allied keyboard. Alloy Elite RGB keyboard. Getting my words mixed up there. It's a little bit late here in Europe. But we're in for great finals, and I can't wait to see who takes it all for the North American qualifiers. Now I'm going to throw it over to our casters to cover the final match.
Welcome to the casting desk, where we don't make mistakes here like Nikita does. As we're going to go through now, it's going to be Spacestation Gaming who do face off against Excelerate. Of course, as always, here for North America, I'm your caster, James Stoddard Parkinson. Joining once again is the wonderful, beautiful Fluke. I actually love this band. I think it can't be understated.
Wow. The things we hear live on stream. But before we get into our burgeoning relationship, let's have a look at the tournament bracket, shall we? So far, obviously, the game that we just had on screen was Honor Amongst Thieves versus Spacestation. Spacestation 2-0'd it, though it did go to overtime. Excelerate Gaming versus Proximity was also the other game that also went to a 2-0. So both these teams coming in pretty hot, you could say, into this final. Obviously now, this is the game that they've been playing for over the past 2 days. This is the one that matters most.
Yeah, this is the final.
That's how those work.
After the end of a qualifier, you get to a final. I mean, it's kind of simple, Fluke. I think people will understand that one.
I hope.
But we are going to get into that final indeed. It's going to be Excelerate Gaming versus Spacestation Gaming. It's two gamings against each other. Does it cancel out each other? We'll find out. But we will see the rosters coming up to start with. Spacestation will be Thinking Nade, Charla, Rampy, Bosco, and Brian. And I think for those who know me personally, know that I'm a big Spacestation fan. I've known Thinking Nade since he started playing the game.
Whoa.
I'll try and not be a biased caster here. I'll try my hardest. I am professional.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing to be. And you're not wearing the shirt. But on the other side, we have Excelerate Gaming, Achieved, Biologic, Crusher, Fultz, and Merc. Obviously, people that we are just well aware of. They're a very good team.
So Fultz and Merc aren't actually part of this roster, as far as I'm actually aware. They played Challenger League under Organized Chaos this season. They did insanely well for themselves, and I think Merc and Fultz, I think a lot of people, since they didn't make it to Pro League by themselves, I think a lot of people are expecting them to join Pro League teams. Could this be indication of what's going to be happening for next season at all? Well, who knows?
I think one of the good things to see is the teams that they took out, but we'll have a look at the maps first. We'll see what they've decided to battle against each other on. Obviously, we've just seen Space Station take us to at least Border and Villa. How much they intended for Villa to be played, I guess we'll never really know, but we'll see the bands coming through in just a second. Coastline is the first to be taken out by Space Station. Border, then removed by Excelerate as well. Bouncing back, so we're not going to see Border again. Consulate is taken out as another map, so another one that we've seen a lot today. There goes Villa. So 3 maps. Out of the 3 maps still up, 2 of them we haven't seen today at all in Bangor, Oregon.
Yeah, no, Oregon's kind of an interesting map pick here. Clubhouse is definitely going to be, I think, pretty much into Space Station's favor, but Excelerate could do very well on Oregon. I was kind of surprised that Excelerate banned out Border here, but Villa makes a lot of sense for them, considering we just saw Space Station completely destroy Hat on Villa. Interestingly to note as well, during the Swiss part of the bracket, they did actually play on Coastline, and Space Station did actually Excelerate beat Space Station there 6-4 in overtime. So
We'll see how it goes. As we jump into the game, so the first map of potentially 3, we can see the chat is already lighting up here, and we're going to start with the ban phase. Excelerate are going to lead on defense by the looks of it, and obviously going to take a little bit of time. Now, one of the points that I was going to make just before we got into this is obviously everyone's been making a huge amount of predictions of the large rosters of teams, large swathes of teams that we've been coming through. And one of the ones that were recently taken out by Accelerate GG were Team Reciprocity, a team that a lot of people expected to be in this final. So they're definitely coming in quite hot. And I know Spacestation are arguably, I'm going to say your favorite, because previously mentioned.
Well, see, that's where I was going to correct myself.
Ah.
I was going to say, normally I'm a big Spacestation fan, but
okay.
I think with how EXG have played quite well throughout the qualifier, and I think, maybe this is going to bite me, but I think Accelerate are going to take this best of 3. I think it's going to be a very, very close game though, and Spacestation are definitely going to give them hell for it. Could definitely go either way though, but we're going to see the operator bans are going to be complete. Capitao, Maverick, Valkyrie, and Mira all off the board. And we'll see exactly how that is all going to play out as we transition to our beautiful overlay.
It's so nice. I think obviously you guys have been really, really brilliantly receptive to this. The first time we walked into this studio this morning and saw everything, it is absolutely...
Fluke literally passed out.
I passed out. I cried quite a lot, and it's just wonderful, wonderful to see. And all that does for me, and hopefully for you guys, and especially all the players, is how exciting is this going to be when we actually hit the minor and we're in the giant pyramid with a light beam in Las Vegas? And they did this in such a short space of time. I could talk about the set design and all of this all day. You guys have been, and let me just say they are very thankful of the love.
Definitely. And also, just talking on that and talking about predictions as well, on Twitter, at Allied Esports, in case you missed what Nikita said, you can go on there, see the pinned tweet, you can predict who's going to win this matchup, and if you get it right, you have a chance of winning a nice little HyperX bundle generously provided by our sponsors over there. So go to our Twitter, at Allied Esports, and you can check all that out there. What was interesting in EU with the Lestream game is that no one commented that the other team, Avenger, was going to win, and Avenger very nearly won that game.
Yeah.
So no one...
It was dicey.
Don't knock anyone out of it if you want to win.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was great. If you can, I recommend going back and watching the VODs. There will also be, I believe, some of the VODs of other stuff being uploaded. But follow the Twitter, and again, as I said, guys, keep tweeting the positive stuff because these guys are loving it and they definitely massively deserve it. Okay, on with the game of Rainbow Six Siege that has now kicked off. Spacestation generally setting themselves up to start pushing. Holding this basement is the standard first point. We've seen it played a lot. Obviously, we've already talked about when Clubhouse got its facelift and you could kind of start moving around upstairs. You had that workshop area to play around in as well, but the tried and true is taking that basement. Merc is just going to hold garage stairs a little bit tight and keep an eye on the little half-wall connector there and ping around. But as we said before, these are two teams that I would say they're going to battle for a lot of these games.
So, looking at Organized Chaos as well, because I think talking about Organized Chaos and how they play during the CL season is going to be pretty important here to how Fultz and Merc are going to fit into this lineup. As I said, they didn't play for Accelerate during the season. Pojo and Crusher and Schlongi were playing during the season for Accelerate. So bringing Fultz and Merc in here is definitely interesting, but they've done beautifully so far throughout the qualifier against them. They knocked out Reciprocity. That was probably the biggest one there. I think that this is going to be a really, really close matchup, and I think that Merc and Fultz are two of the best players in North America right now. They had beautiful stats throughout NACL. I think everyone was very shocked that they didn't make it to Pro League. So, yeah, looking at what they're playing is very much what they'll be playing throughout the season, but also knowing that Organized Chaos, they were having a pretty good time in Clubhouse throughout the season, except against Sonics.
Well, what I'm going to say now is there's only a minute 20 left and nobody has suffered or dropped at this point. They're finally getting a bit of hatch control, a little bit of vertical going on. There goes Modo. And obviously they're fighting around that kitchen hatch, waiting for someone to appear. And there's the first bullets fired down. And Lesion is on a sliver as he just manages to survive and crawl out of there. But the shotgun is trying to finish the job. Rampy, unfortunately, cannot catch the corners of the man who crawls out. But it is Brian who is actually going to lock down on the other side. Mute suffers, and Rampy finally finds the fish he was going for.
Yeah, he will corner it down. It's now going to be a 5v3 situation and looking really, really good for Spacestation. But as you said, that time is a ticking and it is into the favor of Accelerate. But We've got a Maestro. We've got Biologics. He is trapped in dirt right now by Bosco holding the angle onto the hatch. He could nade him out of here. It looks like they are going to be trying to drop down. Smokes will go through as well. Biologics desperately trying to get onto his Maestro counter to see what he can do here, but Merc still pushing down into Secret Stairs. They've lost pretty much complete control right now as Charlotte is going to go for the plant, but Biologics desperately trying to find his way out of Church here and out of dirt as Merc is going to get traded out by Rampy as he pushes all the way in. Rampy with a double kill as well, but Rampy with a triple kill! That's a 4K from Rampy in the round as he shuts down Biologics' attempt to get desperately out of dirt, and then we'll go all the way through. What a flick from Rampy.
Hey, what a way to start the game. Now, Rampy was obviously a player who lights up so often. We saw it in the game just before where he was throwing these big numbers. And yes, it's not about fragging. We mentioned it many, many times earlier on about Lestream or a similar kind of team where they have aces who is throwing up these big numbers, but with a brilliant support structure underneath to allow him the freedom to go for this movement, go for these kills. And Spacestation is so brilliant at weaving this web to allow their kind of frag players just that space and just that movement to catch the momentum that can really carry a team. We're going to head back down to Church, and Kaid is going to be picked up instead.
I think Excelerate are going to have a really hard time on the defense here. Looking at the bans, this tends to be a pretty defender-sided map, but I would argue if Thermite or Habana aren't banned, it tends to be pretty attacker-sided.
Yeah.
They're still leaving those operators up, because Clubhouse is really just about opening stuff up. If you just get stuff open, it tends to go into your favor quite well. I'll be interested if when they go upstairs to CCTV cache, if they play downstairs with like a castle and a shield strategy going down, because that's exactly how OC did it. And it'll be interesting to try and like see how much of OC Excelerate.
Well, that's a really interesting point, actually, that obviously you know quite a lot about, is because obviously everyone always talks about scenes in Siege, and you've got the NA scene, you've got the EU scene, and NA scene is very, very malleable. You see a lot of kind of players and teams coming up and swapping around, and it's a very good kind of thing in a lot of regards, and I think this is a great example of that, is because you see these strategies that players will develop as their duos and as their trios, and they'll bring them around and they'll shape shift them and really try and run them with different entire groups of people. And I really love that kind of malleability that can develop in and amongst the NA scene. And as you've said so rightly, and you know, you are our resident expert on NA with your...
I try to be.
You are. You get to see OC players, or ex-OC players, kind of bringing these little fractions and little fragments of an idea in and amongst another greater idea or another different idea, and seeing how it all kind of comes together. But Rampy is starting to clear across bar and find himself taking out cameras and getting a bit of this vertical control. Obviously, one of the things that was pointed out before was they set up quite a lot. They cleared the roam. They had a minute 30, minute 20 left before they actually started to begin to execute down towards the point. But when it did come to it, it was pretty effective. However, I think, as you said, if Excelerate pulled off just a little bit, if they survived just a little bit longer, that another 15, 20 seconds could have really put a lot more pressure onto SSG to just tick under that minute mark.
I'm just trying to think about how Excelerate even want to play this, because they're not roaming at all. I mean, I definitely agree with that call, not to roam on this map with this particular site. We did see in EU that some of the more aggressive teams wanted to roam and take those early fights just to try and bring it in. And I thought that would be Accelerate's strength going into this matchup, but they seem to not really want to play like that. I guess we'll see when we get to the other maps and stuff, how they want to play. I know Organized Chaos didn't tend to be the most aggressive team that there was, and they actually got shut down in the playoffs by potentially one of the most aggressive teams I've ever seen in my life, 92 Dream Team, of course. So, you know, maybe they don't deal with aggressive teams very well, but Spacestation isn't really an aggressive team at all. They take their time, they go slow and steady wins the pace, they say everything they need, and we've seen both rounds where 1 minute left on the clock and no one has died.
Yeah, and Spacestation, don't get us wrong, they are a team that can work well under pressure, but at the same time, they don't like to be the team to create the pressure. They like to kind of find their way around the map, find their feet, and then execute. But if things go a little bit pear-shaped, they're good enough to react to it. And, you know, giving them more and more ground. It's like a loading bar. The longer you let Space Station load, the more powerful they can become. And then, you know, and then they pull out crazy clutches 4 out of 5 rounds anyway, so who really matters what goes on. But you can see they're putting pressure instantly against Faults, who's had to back away to dirt. That is... Oh, a beautiful pick. There, right through the brains of Bosco. And Rampy is now a little bit more concerned about that kitchen hatch as Chala comes to back him up.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful pick coming up from Fultz there. That's the IQ down. That's not a massive pick, but it is a pick nonetheless. Oh my god, Fultz! He gets all the way back in. Charlo goes down, but eventually gets traded out by Rampy. Murky's going to continue doing the damage though. There goes Brian, and Rampy on a sliver of HP is going to try and complete the diffuser plant, but Crusher will shut down all hopes of all of that happening, and Excelerate will take their very first round. I think, honestly, pretty much off the back of Fultz's aggressive play there.
Yeah, that was, you know, and I'd literally just been mentioning how you've got to try and catch Space Station. If you give them all the comfort in the world, that's when they'll be at their strongest. And you could say that about a lot of teams, but as soon as that pressure came in, as soon as that one pick went against them, you could see that they've been rushed into a smoke. They hadn't done a lot of the prep that they otherwise do like to do, and it kind of suffered.
I think the main thing is that, so the last time they attacked there, they opened up the church hatch. So, not church hatch. The kitchen hatch.
The kitchen hatch.
They hold it down.
Some people think
they
kitchens.
know that. Yeah, well, you know, we're not getting to that conversation. They know there's a guy in dirt holding it down, and they just expect, okay, we can just hold this guy in dirt, and he can't go anywhere. And that's exactly what happened to Biology. So he just couldn't get out of there. He couldn't do anything about the plant going down. So they smoke, they drop, but all of a sudden, he's in your face. He pulled a Stewie 2K on you. And yeah, that's just not good at all. And the fact that he gets that injury pick, and then he gets the pick onto Charlo as well, completely does the damage that's necessary to allow the rest of Excelerate to come through and help him out. So also just want to point out about Fultz is right up until the playoffs happened, so as the regular season for North American Challenger was completed, he had the best stats in the entire Challenger League for North America.
Someone buy that mana trade. A very little.
Yeah, you know, CGG, I'm looking at you guys.
CGG, buy me a mug. We see them setting up for a CCTV cache hold, and as we mentioned before, and I think at this point it's generally old news, is the refurb that Clubhouse went through that kind of brought this point into a bit of a renaissance. It became the standard second point for certain teams, even a first point, just to give themselves a little bit more kind of movement, a little bit more space. But one of the major and main battles you often see it boil down to is this garage fight, is holding those upper rungs and keeping your eyes peeled down below. So I'm curious to see how much pressure ends up boiling around, because you know, we can talk about that being the general way, but these are two teams that are more than comfortable to move against that beaten path, to move against the general manner, and to know how each other works, how each other plays, and how each other thinks. So they can adapt. They can kind of roll the strategy. Obviously, Fultz is kind of reinforcing Merc out there with a soft, just making sure that he can't get the immediate sightlines. You can see that they're trying to find a way to thermite through, but the Bandit so far hasn't been kicked off too far. Chala is trying to back up. Burning ADS is on the other side. The Maestro goes for something a little bit cheeky, but does not, unfortunately, get any bites. Going to try it again, keep the Bandit covered from behind, but so far no bites. You can see Bosco has now dropped down to try and get a harder fight. The frag, I believe, just got caught by an ADS as well. So they've only got one frag left to try and get this Bandit out of that wall and get it blown open. And, you know, time is steadily ticking away, as is their total utility count.
Yeah, it definitely starts. But as we said about Space Station, they take their time with things. They're not too bothered about using that utility as long as it's doing something. And they're starting to do the work on it as they will. You kind of need to get this east wall open if you're going to go for this push, and it looks like they will be able to do that in just a few moments. They're waiting for Brian to try and rotate his way up, and they've got a Habana and a Thermite. It's going to be impossible for Excelerate to hold onto this wall, and they know that. But there's no nades available for Space Station. It's going to be hard for them to really do much else with it. So this is kind of Accelerate's point where they need to try and get a little bit of aggressive and stop Space Station from really capitalizing on it when they do open this wall eventually. And you see Crusher trying to capitalize on that.
Yeah, you can also see, obviously, they had the Pulse playing around in gym, feeding and filtering information to the rest of the players about who was coming from the other side. Habana gets a big chunk open, and that is definitely going to force the Bandit just a bit further back, but without control across the top of Garage, which they do need to lock off. They're looking at a very, very quickly diminishing counter, and they need to start finding feet inside the building. Rampy manages to shut down Jaeger at least, but again, you still got to get control of Garage, get your feet in the door, because at this point it's too late to try to rotate across logistics. It's too late to try your plan B, so you've got to make your plan A work quickly. And they see the man, and Rampy finds a second against Biologic. And now it's just a matter of pushing up and Here comes the man from behind as well, but no, Thinking Nade manages to cover it down 5-2, but gets dropped by the Legion Mine. Crusher is rotating a bit closer as well. Here's the diffuser going down, but there's close cover to the left. Refires, Hibana suffers a fate, but the cover is there brilliantly so. And the diffuser is planted. Faults in a post-plant situation and a 4 versus 1. And unfortunately, it does not go his way.
You can be a great player, but 4 versus 1 in Space Station, it seems pretty unlikely that you'll be able to get it through. Space Station doing a great job here at being slow and steady. I think Excelerate, again, are going to really struggle on this defense. As I said, like Thermite or Hibana not being banned tends to put this into a kind of attacker-sided in a way. I know a lot of people consider this to be one of the most defended-sided maps, but I think it's often because you have that hard breacher ban, and it does quite heavily affect the attack. But without that, I think Space Station have made pretty good use out of the hard breaches. However, also when you swap onto the attack, you give Achieved its book. And Achieved is known as one of the scariest book players, potentially in the world, but definitely in North America. So, yeah, I mean, this is the guy who spent, what, 5 seasons in Challenger League, constantly on the grind, constantly within reach of Pro League, but never making it. Now he's finally here, he's here to stay.
It's like training with weights on.
Yeah.
You take the weights off and then bam.
You're just super speed going through that. I also just want to quickly correct something I said during the prep phase last time, is that I said that Fultz had the best stats. I remember like Spades actually ended up getting the best stats KD-wise, but I'm pretty sure Fultz was on really, really high up there in terms of rating overall. And then eventually Spades lost his spot to Neptunes, who ended up knocking him out in the playoffs. So
I'm going to have to get the little trophy changed now.
Yeah.
I've already ordered it.
Well, don't give any trophies to me, because I
How
can't.
embarrassing.
I had to look through my notes, okay? There's a lot of notes for North American Challenge League, because a lot of weird stuff happened.
Yep.
But we are getting into round number 4. And we're going to see another CCV cash defense. So they're not doing what I was talking about where sometimes OC were doing this like downstairs defense where they put a shield down and they'd have like castles and they'd have this whole thing going on. And Sonic's also used to do the similar thing, but I think they did it a little bit better, honestly. So they haven't incorporated that strategy. So it looks like Excelerate are either playing this very, very default, or Excelerate playing the way that they want to play it, the way Achieved wants to play it, rather than the way that maybe Fultz or Merc want to play this. But they seem to fit in this quite well. We've already seen Fultz do some pretty good things already. We'll see if they can continue that trend. But another go at the CCV cash defense. What do you think was going wrong here?
I mean, it's always a bit of a hard call. Obviously, especially as you said, when you're up against a team like Space Station, who are very effective with their utility use. Nothing is ever truly wasted. They find ways to make it work, and they did. They got control in a pretty slow and steady and methodical manner. They managed to get the bandit off, and they had the double hard destruction as well to get that wall definitely cracked open. You know, the cover, I think, could have been a little bit more aggressive. There was a lot of times where you have Space Station players kind of sat watching and waiting from range, and you're also using a pulse to gather information, who did just do what I said. Ran out, got rampy, played with more aggression, utilized that information that they were gathering so brilliantly before, and now look, Space Station are in a bit of worry. They're in a bit of concern. Now, they are a good enough team to find ways around this, but that is exactly what you kind of want to do here, is take a bit of the wind out of their sails, put a stick through the spokes, and then make them play with a wobbly bike.
I think, honestly, you make a great point there, that generally on the defense you have to be aggressive so that Space Station just can't bring down this heavy utility to bear at those last few moments, because the Space Station seem perfectly content to not get any picks at all if it means that they have all of their utility available when they come for that last second execute, and generally it's been working pretty good for them so far. We saw them do it just the last game just fine as well. Border wasn't looking great for them as well, and I also kind of like going back on that, Excelerate were the ones who banned out Border, and it was kind of confusing they would do that. I really thought that that would be a good map for them.
Wow, this day has been full of surprises, but Biologic is holding the top rung where he was before, hopefully going to get it a little bit longer. Obviously suffered with a pretty deep push, but it looks like he does have a bit more cover on the short half wall just outside the garage door. Brian has the cash CCTV wall open by the looks of it, as well as wanting to push on. Merc is watching the long angle, waiting for someone to come via the main door, but Charla is well aware. And now with all the X-Kairos gone and a couple of stun grenades, they are going for blood with that beastly pair of weapons Hibana likes to bring. Here's Brian though. No! Crusher finds the frag in and amongst and Achieve in the meantime, and Biologic gets another 3 quick drops and suddenly a 5 versus 1. Charla, who was set up for blood, now has to find a lot of it to bring this round back towards the favor of the Space Station.
Yeah, Folds wants to confirm the kill. He'll run all the way out, but he goes down, but Merc instantly there. His teammate to trade. Accelerate will take round number 4, and we're still seeing that kind of back and forth right now. Which means also now that Accelerate can go back downstairs to Arsenal. They
can kind of play their final point on Church. Though obviously it was a similar thing before where they lost it first time, won it the second time. I think all day we're gonna see this back and forth between these two teams. I feel like they're pretty great at this call and response with each other. I think obviously we've already talked about, you know, as I was mentioning, as you asked, what could they have changed slightly about what they did last time? They were doing what I was saying, and I'm not saying I'm right about this kind of thing, but it did work, and they won the round. And you know, they're very good at responding to each other, and very good at kind of seeing what they can kind of do and what they can kind of bring, and that's both of them. That's both sets of players. I would be surprised if we don't see at least one overtime between these two guys. Personally.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that, honestly. I think that this will go to overtime. Maybe Clubhouse is gonna... I think Clubhouse is gonna see a very different swing when we see Accelerate push onto the attack. I think they're gonna do much better on the attack. Mostly, honestly, because of Matthew achieved Solomon, who is potentially one of the best. I really want to reinforce that. This guy gets on Book, and he will just tear apart everything. I remember I was scrimming against this guy, and I was like, I thought I had these strats down.
Still have nightmares.
Just I wake up with cold sweats.
What's the strats ban Buck?
I can hear him. Yeah, honestly, it was like, I just think you just ban Buck against this guy. I can't deal with him. Okay,
what is your opinion on Kavera in this current lineup? Because I know you said before about roaming.
You know, so like I know this is a very unpopular opinion, but Jackal is actually Cav is actually really good counter to Jackal. So when you go into your silent step, you don't get pinged. So if the ping's about to happen, you go into your silent step, it doesn't happen. So it can actually be a really, really good counter. And you notice that Space Station have taken Jackal every single round, and they're going to make sure he's going to be tracking the Cav, because Cav was in the strip. So now Cav can just waste his time, and they can just waste that utility, and they've had a pretty bad time like trying to deal with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we see what he did there, where he activated the silent step as the thing was about to happen, but Rampy's gonna see him anyway and take him down. So it wasn't as effective, but what I'm saying is like, it makes
idea.
Sense. Yes.
Yeah, it's the thing. It's always the thing. You've got to realize that these are pro players playing against pro players. They'll bring these great ideas, but you're also against some of the best players in the world. So just because it didn't work, that's the real sentence, doesn't mean it was the wrong thing to do. And definitely bring in a Kavera against when you know they're going to be bringing a Jackal, and then you know it's Rampy playing the Jackal, and you know he's going to be playing it very well, finding ways to mess that up and put Space Station, as we said, on a back foot. That is what can really, really give you these rounds and give you that momentum to kind of move past them and crash the space shuttle.
That is a great analogy.
Thank you.
I'm proud of that one. We're only round 5 in the first game. You're already putting out this goal.
I know. I'm going to use all my good lines in this first map. So Rampy is still scanning for feet as he pushes steadily across towards Cash. No, he's actually going to pull off and go for the drop down instead. They've pretty comfortable with the clear that they've got, the roam clear. They've obviously managed to drop at least one of the Accelerate players, but they do still need to push against 4, and they do still need to push against Church and Arsenal, a point that is often cited as being one where you don't even really need to roam because it's so wide. There's so many ways into this point. There's so many different places and places to hide. It's a pretty tough one to attack on the best of times, but hey, they've got 50 seconds. They've started to finally blow open hatches and dig their way down towards it. They still have all the X-Kairos to use against this Church wall, and you can see they're wanting to use it. There is the impact hole above, so they might try and catch some of these with an impact trick. The first set are going to get blown, but no!
What?
Never mind the impact trick, just C4 Hibana.
He just C4'd this guy from the Church wall. What a C4, and Achieve just doesn't care. It's Matthew Solomon. He gets a double headshot kill, thinking nade, but he can't get the third. Thinking nade and Rampy both on the board. Bosco will humiliate him with the sledgehammer kill, but it's a 2v3. Space Station not looking too good now to try and bring this in. Nade's coming through onto Moto. Bosco trying to get control here. Drops with the nade in hand, rolls another one in, and he finds Crusher with it as well. He goes swinging, and now it's a 2v2. Brian does get picked, however. It's all down to Bosco. We've seen him clutch before. He gets the one kill. Let's see if we can find another. He's got plant. He has to put this down. Biologic should have a Yokai drone available. He doesn't have it. He's got to run all the way into the site. He sees Bosco. He takes him down. Easy as that. Accelerate take round number 5. What a beautiful play from Achieve and from Fultz with that C4. This is crazy. Look at this. This man, I'm telling you, Matthew Solomon, he is something else. If you see the name achieved in ranked, just run.
Run. Get out of there.
He is just...
Alt F4.
He's on another level. I'm telling you.
Take
This
the
is the
abandon
secret.
penalty.
This is the secret to becoming a great Siege player. You spend 5 seasons in CL, and then you evolve. You become a next level
Like a
player.
delicious stew.
Yeah, exactly.
You stew for ages. We go into the changing of the half, 3-2 in the favor of Excelerate, and now they are taking up the mantle of attackers. As we've seen before, we've seen a lot of Clubhouse today, obviously. We've not really seen Spacestation play on Clubhouse, but their defenses have been pretty solid so far. So I'm curious to see, obviously, what Excelerate can bring to throw off a team that are pretty well developed.
I've got 2 words for you.
Uh-huh.
I think you know what they're going to be.
I think I know what they're going to be, but I want to hear you say it again.
Matthew Solomon.
Well, you heard it here first. The Siege GG polls, they're just the choice between Space Station and Matthew. That's the 2 choices.
I just think he's incredible. And also with like Fultz and Merc here as well, you've got 3 insanely good players all on the same team. And yeah, I think Excelerate have a really good chance of bringing this in. And as I said as well, Excelerate being in this kind of like attacker-sided team, in my opinion, at like this point. It's interesting though that he isn't actually going Buck here, despite the fact I've been praising his Buck so much. I mean, Zoffia's a really good choice here as well. And he can just do equally well with that. I think that he just plays around that vertical play quite well, and that Zoffia can open up that vertical play as well, just as good. So we'll see how it's going to go down from Excelerate and how they'll start their attacks. The drones are going to be coming out, of course, all across the board, and see exactly what they can do about this. I wonder what the pacing is here. Like, how fast are they going to move? We saw Honor Among Thieves move very quickly through the map. It did not work for them against Space Station.
No, Space Station were more than happy to find those fights and find those battles. And, you know, you've got to think about how you can take your structured approach against a team like Space Station, because as we said before, yes, they have a great grounding, they have a great basis, great strategies and great books to pull from.
On top of that, I want to look at Space Station, right? They have Lycan, or Dalikan, as some people like to call him. And they also have Data, who are their coach and analyst respectively. They've been working around the clock. I know those guys work really hard to prepare for these kind of qualifiers, because it's hard to prepare for a qualifier when you have to go for like MOS files to see what happened in the game and stuff like that.
You never know how it's going to go, and I think that's generally the statement of today. Obviously, we had Lestream playing against a previously completely unknown team in the final for a spot at the final. So you never really know, so all the credit to the coaches doing those red-eye shifts. We appreciate it, but they're also very good at gunfights, very good at firefights, and one of the most important things, very good at covering each other. They are more than ready to go for that tee off the cost, and I think that is such a big part of a good defense, is not only being ready to lose firefights, but being ready to then take the momentum back very swiftly, very quickly, and have responses to losing firefights.
They definitely do, but Excelerate are going to begin droning again. Just 1 minute left to go on the clock, and look again. We still have 10 people up on the board. See what can happen here exactly. The first round on attack for Excelerate isn't actually looking as great as I thought it would have done, but they still have everything in their favor, honestly, to try and take this site. The drones are going to go out ahead of them, and they're going to know exactly what the situation is. Achieved, and it's going to come around. There we go, Sophie Charge coming through into blue. Open all of that up, and that's going to allow Biologics to try and push down blue and see what kind of control he can get here.
Well, you can see the pressures coming in on Moto. Long shots down from Oil Pit, but so far no bites. And we look at 25 seconds left on the clock. Excelerate have the pressure, but Thinking Nate is not going to let them get any ground, and neither is Brian. Achieve manages to find one, but Bosco gets another, and it's 4-2 with only 15 seconds left, and the diffuser is cold on the ground. Bosco finds one more. Oh no, it is just down to the Jackal against, well, nobody as he passes to the Afterlife. Chala locking it off and bringing Space Station back to 3-3.
The Arsenal Room is just such a hard defense. Sorry, it has such a hard defense to attack. Let's put it like that. I don't think that Excelerate really utilized the vertical play that they had available to them there. I mean, it's kind of hard to contest. There was Cade on the board, and there was a lot of sort of tricking going around there, so that can be hard. I think CCTV Cash is probably going to be a better attack for Excelerate, but I guess it's kind of what they want to do here exactly. The fact that they're not bringing the Habana is interesting, just because mostly we talked about it before. You see, I say it, and they just do it. They 6-bit the Habana. And I was going to start talking about not having a Habana and how it's going to affect the round.
Yep. I mean, we could pretend.
No, it's too late.
It's too late.
They've
for
already
that.
ruined
It's
it.
too late for that. But what it is too late for is obviously any of this game. It's 3-3. Gosh, obviously this is playing out slightly different to what you usually see. We're playing old school rules to a degree, where it is first 2-6 is the pass to post point. But setting up down there, we've already talked a bit about the importance of cash, but so far we haven't really talked about other ways to hold it. Now, the obvious thing is the bandit tricking against that east balcony, which is a very important point to hold, but also I really, really like clever Maestro usage on this, because I think there's quite a few places where you can kind of dig those in, and it just gives you a lot of advantage, a lot of information. So I'm kind of curious where Brian is going to throw
something that's interesting you can actually do here. So the lounge wall that faces from downstairs into the garage, and the upstairs wall that faces from server into garage and CCTV room. So you can reinforce all 4 of those walls, and you can get them all with 1 Cade right in the center. When Sonics did it in CR, it's kind of interesting to see how they played around that. I don't think it's like a great strategy to do, especially when you can just do things like this. It can be good with like a Habana ban on the board, because normally you don't end up seeing garage get opened up when there is a Habana ban. So I think that can be good, and you can see what Fultz is doing right now. This is going to allow him not just to get into garage, but also to get an angle through onto the balcony above and stop any rotates through that area.
Yeah, it's a very important way of doing it. As we said before, garage control, it's such a big room, it's such a big space, but the main thing is it's a big amount of vertical that also offers a great cross against the point itself. As soon as you kind of find a way to hammer and anvil whoever is playing on top of there, it can really be the big shift in the control of the round, because it is such an integral part of the way to hold this point for most teams. Now you can see that they are instantly trying to throw as much as they can to find that Maestro and get him plucked out of there, but there's always the worry that Space Station, as we said before, the more time you give them, the more they adapt, the more they find new ways to kind of push back against you and break against you. And you know, Excelerate already suffered quite badly from the time before. Chala shuts him down, but
goes down.
Does get it picked up at least. The 20 health achieved is going to slowly creep in. The spots are coming out, drops the camera, has the utility to try and pop it, but they don't have control of that northern side either. There's at least 2 people watching, fires bullets into the shoulder of one of them, and that is the castle. And whoa, Maestro off the table, but the castle and Jaeger on an exceptionally small amount of health.
And beautifully played indeed. They'll start to push all the way in. Fultz just holding down the front porch here, making sure that no one can rotate out. He's got to know that Rampy is in lounge right now, just holding down this angle. See, Fultz wouldn't be holding here. They wouldn't be trying to stop that rotate. As we go, Space Station still holding down where they can, though. They actually have so many people downstairs right now. Like, if Rampy and Charlo are both playing around the stairs, Rampy's going to rotate all the way around the supply and see what he can do. As Biologics has moved all the way out, he could get a kill, but no! Oh, the timing. He's just going to move away at the last second. As there we go, they're going to try and get into the site now. Crusher's going to open up the wall. That's going to allow them server control. That's going to allow them to get into here. And that's kind of what I was talking about before, where you reinforce the lounge walls, you can cade that, and it can be pretty hard to get in there. But Bosco just pick up achieved, and now the planet is going to start to go down from Crusher. Fultz pushes all the way in, gets Rampy on the downstairs floor, but the diffuser is going to go down. No one's aware from Space Station. They can't get him down, but there we go. Bosco takes a Crusher. Fultz instantly trades it onto Thinking Nades. Now a 2v2. Chala pushes all the way up. He goes for the pre-fire as well. Bosco goes for the defuse. Chala still holding on for his teammate, but no one's in position to try and deny this. Battle is just a mile away. Fultz tries to get all the way up, but no. Space Station will take the round with Bosco just holding down F to pay the respects.
Well, not only did the diffuser go down with... it looked like Bosco was aware. He kind of peeled forward, but obviously they had the cover there, so he couldn't quite get there in time. And it sounded like a C4 got torn as well, but I'm not sure if it actually caught anything, let alone any one, which I know it didn't. But then also, as you said, there was no cover against it to cover the diffuse. They obviously pulled off and peeled off, not expecting the speed and the pace of the diffuse there. And full credit towards a team that so frequently pulls off maneuvers like that.
Yeah, no, definitely really well done from Space Station to realize that the cover just wasn't there. This is also kind of why I say, if I could speak English, I would say things. That when you open the East server wall and you don't have a Maverick, you should open the right side of it, not the left side of it. Because if you open the right side of it, then you can cover anyone who tries to cross by repelling, like, off of the balcony. But we are going to get all the way through now. It's going to be round number 8, and we're finally going to see a gym bedroom defense now. I know I said CCTV could have been good for Excelerate, but if you can win any attack on this map, it has to be gym bedroom.
Unless it's bar.
I just never see anyone go to bar. The only team I've ever seen go to bar in recent history was Tune Squad, who still believe to this day that bar is a good site.
Bar is the unicorn site. We see it once in a blue moon, but every time is magical. And that is, I will stand by those words. But we do go to the gym instead of pretty standard setup. You can see the double castle walls going against the window of gym. They've got the hatch open as well, and they're cracking the entire wall to allow themselves more of an idea. And they are going to dig in, bandit trick this. They're going to keep a strong eye. And obviously there is the double hard destruction though as well, which has generally been a pretty common and focal point in both lineups so far. Excelerate are no strangers to bringing it, so they're going to try and throw everything at Jacuzzi, try and get that cracked open and try and get Thinking Nade out of there. It's a matter of how they do it now. It looks like Achieved might have just blown open up maybe one of the castle walls as we hear some of the soft destruction. Yep, there it is. They have the gym castle wall open. They have more of a sight line across. They also have the other one that was onto the more direct bedroom point as well, with both Bosco and the Maestro keeping an eye across it. Brian, seeing if they can catch the IQ that is playing a little bit drifting side to side against that window they hit open.
Brian's been really aggressive throughout the series, and he's like peeking out of Island right now with the Maestro. The Alder can be pretty devastating around those window peaks. He's going to be just lying down near the bed now, though. But it is going to be Merc who picks up the entry kill here. Thinking Nade is going to go down pretty much instantly. That should bandit off the ball. There's no bandit tricking going to be available around Jacuzzi now. So Merc should be able to take control of construction here quite quickly, and the drones are going to go ahead. Jacuzzi wall does get opened up. This is looking pretty good for Excelerate, I would say, although Jacuzzi is completely reinforced. That's not a great sign.
So we can see the immediate kind of pressure coming at this point. You can see the Maestro of Brian has at least pulled back just a little bit into construction. No, as I say that, he pushes forward and then pulls back again. Rampy is still playing in cash as well, covering in case anyone pushes and rotates from the other side, making sure that they just have a little bit more of a warning system in the form of a gunfight in case anything does kick off on the other side. But Bosco has doubled up onto the Maestro's shoulder, or in front of him, and is just going to try and get a little bit more cover against the fight. The Diffuser still sits with a couple of operators. The double hard destruction are on Jacuzzi, trying to find a way into this gym. It looks like they want to obviously go for a quicker push here, but until they find a way to at least cover their movement into the point and their movement across the point, they are really much in a little bit of hot water now, and Space Station just kind of have to keep their movement alive, keep themselves kind of hot inside this bedroom, and keep themselves kind of, with the right ideas and the right amount of pressure.
Crusher's just going to be doing the snake here, drops the diffuser, and slowly tries to make his way into the bathroom. It looks like he is going to see one, but he's going to throw all the way through the smoke as well, but he is now in the bathroom. He should be able to get some kills here, or at least hold us down and try and push them out, as it looks like Bosco just hiding behind the mattress there on the island. He's going to push... Oh, what? He pushes out, he gets Merc. That's a great kill coming out from Bosco. Crusher does pick up Brian, however, but Achieved pushing all the way through. But oh my god, that's the trades coming out in galore. It is going to come through into a 2v3. There's actually no time left for Charlie with the wallbang. It's going to deny Fultz the plant with a headshot, and Space Station take round number 8 in a daring last move coming out from the Jaeger.
Wow. Again, time is becoming such an issue for Excelerate, but I adore the information game that was used there to shut down that plant. You could see both teams bringing all that information, closing down onto the point, executing both plans almost simultaneously that led to a completely perfect bloodbath trade across the 2 points. And obviously Space Station bring themselves up to match point, but that was a great battle across. However, we are now going back down to Church, and this could be 4 rounds in a row and the first map for Space Station.
This is just terrible from Excelerate. I really thought they were going to do way better on the attack, but their attacks have been super uncoordinated. They've been uninformed. They've been pretty all over the place, and Space Station have just allowed them to just play slowly. And Space Station, they can win the patience game, in my opinion.
I think that's exactly what we're seeing a fantastic demonstration of. It's often quoted as the things that the attackers are working against. They've got two enemies. One of them is the enemies, and the other one is the round timer. And what is happening right now is they're not really getting enough of that kind of damage done to the into Spacestation at the same time as keeping an eye on this timer, because that's the first time we've had a timeout round today. Yep. It's the first time it's come down to that, still with two operators on the table for the attackers as well. You know, you've got to kind of start thinking, okay, well, what we need is a bit more pepper. What we need is a little bit more kind of, because when they lent into the aggression on their defenses, it started to work great. It started to work very well for them.
What I quickly want to point out here is Bosco's now on the dock. This is what I refer to as a Yoga play, where you put the best player on dock. Oh, well, I mean, I guess 92 Dream Team kind of started the meme of that. It was, but when I coached Yoga, he was all about, you know, just put me on dock, Cernab, and I'll clutch out. So if you want to hear his idiotic thoughts, you can follow him on Twitter at Yoga_, and I'm sure he'll love to hear about all of that. But yeah, the dock and the Maestro I like, because it's like you bring a bulletproof as well. So now you've got 3 bulletproof cameras essentially. And it can go pretty well for you. That's like a lot of info.
It's utility that plays very well into Spacestation as well. We can't keep harping on enough about how well they utilize utility, and yet look at them bringing the extra bulletproof. Oh my, that was close and very lucky for that smoke.
That was very, very close indeed.
Yep.
Brian will not go down just yet, however. It's still 5v5 and just about 1 minute into the round. We'll see Excelerate open up everything they need to open up here. There is no Cade on the board, so they didn't need to Thatcher the hatch. I'm wondering that, I don't think Excelerate actually know that then. The fact that they're doing everything they can. But recharges are going to go down, so plenty of soft destruction here for Achieved to open up the kitchen and do what he can. But time is starting to tick away, and they haven't got any picks yet.
Yep, again, it is the thing that has generally been the biggest worry for them. And you can see Space Station, they're happy to sit down in the point. They're not playing any roamers. They're not playing anyone wide. They're keeping all of their cameras with all the angles covered, and they're letting Excelerate fall against their defenses, batter against their hatches, and just hold on, get these firefights, win them, and utilize their kind of superior battles there. Here comes the destruction of the church wall, though, as Crusher drops into Moto. The smoke stop is immediate push, but eating that utility is very, very good. There's still obviously a minute left. That's plenty of time for them now that they are battering pressure actually against the point itself. You can see Achieved again is trying to double up, trying to find the man who I think it's still Brian, who is still somehow completely covered in bullets and blinds, and yet holding on for some life that it's amazing that he still has. They know exactly where he is. He's on the tiniest sliver of health, and he is close to this firefight with the thermite, but no! From the...
Like, that's just not smart. You're a smoke, you're peeking with the SMG-11. I don't get why he would do that, but 30 seconds left to go on the clock, and this is just not looking good at all. Thinking Nate peeks out on blue, but Biologic shuts him right on down as Bosco on the dock. He's going to pick up Crusher. Let's see what else work he can do right now. It's a 3v3 situation. Diffuser in the hand of Biologic to try and get all the way in here into Church and go for this plant. He is going to start to plant this Diffuser. Rampy just trying to get the edge here, trying to take his head off, but can't quite find it. There we go! Charlie gets a double kill out of it, but the plant will successfully go down. It's all down to Fultz to fend off Rampy and see what he can do. Rampy, quite a hard operator to deal with. He's just going to go for it. He's going to go for the counter defuse. Fultz is nowhere near to be seen. He's got to go. He's just flashed himself. No, Fultz, but Rampy's actually got off of it. He could have won the round right there. And then Flash goes through. Rampy runs all the way into Moto. He's up being full flash, but he's not going to look behind him. Where is Fultz going? He's running around the roses right now. Rampy going to hold down. He's back on the diffuser. He's back disabling it right now. Fultz trying to push all the way in. He can hear the counter defuse going down. Rampy is going to hear him again, but the Legion Man's going to go off in the hallway. Rampy knows where he is. He's going to go for the pre-fight. No, you saw it, Rampy. There we go. He's going to go down, but he doesn't have enough time. What just happened? What was that? Rampy was on the defuse 2 times in a row where he could have gone. It just didn't happen. Fultz is running around the entire map. Whoa, what is that?
I have no words. That you could throw the Benny Hill theme onto that.
Someone please do that. Someone please do that.
That was, oh wow. You could see the panic across both the players, and that was so many moments of raising your arms in the air. And Wow, that is one that they're not going to want to look back on.
I really don't like the way that Brian has been playing this matchup. He is playing on the smoke, right? You know they have Moto open. He's peeking with these. I just don't think that was very smart. I think they lost a lot of church control because of that pick, honestly.
I will say he was under a pretty surprisingly intense amount of pressure from the very beginning.
Yeah, I get that.
Because he did obviously suffer the bullets from the long peak. And I think at that point, he found himself in an issue where he was, you know, as I said, it was approaching. We are going to have a quick rehost. So I guess we'll have a great opportunity to just talk about this on camera. He found himself, I guess, kind of feeding that information to the rest of the team, saying, look, we're in a bit of a tight spot. They're coming quick. They're coming fast. Obviously, peaking close on Moto with the shotgun. Oh, without the shotgun, even. It raised a bit of question. But the cover came from above at the end of it anyway. Still had the smoke. But, you know, it's a hard thing. When the pressure does reach that point where you're kind of going, that's when players make mistakes. But that is, I think, the other way to look at that is a compliment towards Excelerate for putting him under that amount of pressure and putting him in that situation where he is in that state of mind. He is in that state of thought where he can't really find any comfortable ground. Oh no, oh no, oh no, I'm dead. Which isn't good.
It's not good. It's not good at all, really. But ring around the roses. Let's talk about that a little bit more. The Benny Hill, the game, as we did just see come through.
Yeah.
I feel like it's one of those moments where Rampy's playing mostly off of the calls of his teammates and saying, okay, no, Fultz is here. No, okay, now, no, he's here now. Oh, you got to run around. Oh, you just hear him pull the flash. Now you hear him pull the Legion Mine out, and you're like all over the place. There was so many mistakes by both players there, but it's such a hard situation to be in, especially when that diffuser is ticking down.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. The game becomes a complete kind of pressure cooker in that situation. Obviously, neither of them, you can say, really did the right thing. Pulling off the diffuser isn't the great move, but at the same time, you just hear the flash go off. As you said, you have no idea that the man has just flashed himself. At the same time, going around there and pushing one way and then pulling back the other and going for the very wide rotate isn't the right thing to do, arguably at certain points as well. But you know, it's one of those situations where there is so much going on and the comms are, we assume, a little bit chaotic at that point, and you're just trying to find the pieces of this puzzle that are being screamed at you that are the correct pieces. And that's when you make those kind of mistakes. Don't get me wrong, they're great for us to watch and to highlight clip later and to put on the Twitter. But at the same time, I completely empathize with those mistakes because these guys are making these kind of pressure moves on the highest tier, and I make these in silver matches.
I mean, it's hard to stay calm, you know, like apocalypse is happening in your mind at that point where the diffuser is slowly ticking down. It is a situation that Rampy's been in before with the diffusers ticking down, and in that 1v1 clutch situation, that didn't end well for him the last time we saw him famously in his game against G2. But this isn't G2. This should be a matchup I think that Spacestation should be pretty confident going into, honestly, and they've shown it. They are on match point still. Excelerate are starting to bring it back, though. It looks like they are starting to figure out how these defenses are being done. Will it be enough?
Well, that's exactly it. Obviously, having the rehost at this moment in time is one where both teams get this little bit of breathing room. And it's an important point for both of them because obviously in one set of comms right now, you're going to be hearing a lot of, right, we're on match point. We just need one more. We just need to do this. We just need to pull this. But at the other time, Excelerate are going to be, we're one away from overtime. Yeah. We're one round away. We've just won one. We have a bit of fire. We have a bit of momentum. And I guess we're going to find out who gave the better pep talk.
I know I said it last time as well, but I love that transition.
Oh, yeah. Again, if you missed it at the beginning of this map, all of this stuff is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good. I love this production. Kudos to the production team. But enough of that. 5-4 match point. We sit on back to Church Arsenal Room. Obviously, they lost it in what can only be described as a smattering of chaos. However, we're going to see if they can find a little bit more solidity in this defense. At the same time, the pressure that was being brought by Excelerate was exceptional. It was very, very good at picking apart. And again, we saw the physical embodiment of stress in the form of both the movements of Brian and then at the very end of the round of Rampy. And that's what I think Excelerate set up. That is definitely, I would say, a compliment towards how they were attacking.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree with that sentiment. So we are now going to see another Church defense, and this was just insanely close. It's interesting that Bosco's picked up the Rook rather than the Doc now. I mean, everyone knows that, even though it doesn't say it statistically, but we all know, really, that Doc's MP5 is better than Rook's.
Yeah, you can't check these stats out. These stats aren't anywhere. They're in the unofficial.
It's like Smoke Shotgun.
I was just about to say, it's the theorem behind Smoke Shotgun, where if you believe that it can get the kill from 40 yards and shoot like a bow and arrow, it will. It will do that. But
Thank you, Pojo, for that one.
But if you lose faith, this is my rifle. Slash shotgun. But here we go. Match points.
I think the big thing, like Doc or Rook, is like if you want to bring a bulletproof slash barb over a shield or impact.
There's always a great debate. Gadgets. There's always a great debate about this, and obviously, people say, well, you've got the chance of going down, and then a lot of pro players respond as, well, normally 90% of the time you go down, you're dead. There's information, there's feedback, there's whatever. Granted, we've seen a lot of pickups today, but at the same time, in the grand picture of things, obviously these guys know pros because they are pros. They play this tier of game. They're the ones that make these calls. Their coaches are the ones that go over thousands of hours of VODs and make these calls, so these guys know that balance and they know the weight of everything. And, when they're making those decisions in the calls, you go, okay, cool, that's why this is happening. But you can see they're setting up, ready to start cracking open hatches. Stock seems like they want to get a bit of control of oil, get a bit of control of utility as well. They're generally going to try and break across church by the looks of it again. Obviously, that is where they dug the diffuser down, but you do need to do that prep work. You do need to kind of dig out any potential defenders that might be able to close it from the other side. They haven't done the quick pressure that they applied last time. At this point, they were already putting bullets all around Brian's head, but none unfortunately landed in, and it looks like they've got, obviously, thinking Nade is dug into utility as Merc is the one trying to close down against it now.
This is still a good situation for Excelerate to be in. I mean, they have everything open that they need to do for a church push. The only thing that they really need at this point is the blue control. It was interesting the last time that they attacked here. Well, sorry, the first time they attacked here is they sent Biologic in blue when they needed to really get the church wall open and they needed it thatched. So hopefully he isn't going to be playing blue. It's going to be Merc who pushes that down as he's going to smoke it out appropriately. Crusher is going to try and get this wall open as well. We see Fultz as well getting open on the opposite side. Impact Tricking is going to come out, but it's unsuccessful. And the church wall will get opened up appropriately. Crusher just hitting into Moto. He's going to get the kill to Brian behind the bomb. What a shot from Crusher. Now it's a 4v5 situation. Bosco going to be impact nading out onto Armory. It's clear it's going to be a church push right now. As Charla will be playing around to the vending machine, see what he can do. Bosco still holding down as well, as Nade gets his own kill onto Merc. Now we're 4v4. This is looking pretty dire for Excelerate because they're running out of time to actually get into the site, even though they have the entry achieved. Oh my god, what a kill of Bosco. He's going to push all the way through. Sees him when K9, he takes him down as well. Achieved with a double kill, pushing all the way through. Does get traded out by Thinking Nade, and Charla with a kill of his own. Now it's a 2v2. They get all the way into sight. Charla with a double, and now it's a 2v1. But Charla with the triple kill. Oh baby, as Spacestation take round number 10, and they will take the map.
Well, first map 6-4, but that round with the consistent back and forth, obviously achieved getting a gorgeous double from within Dirt Tunnel as well, and those very tight picks. Again, this is what we're going to expect to see, I would say, across the second, if not potentially the third map. But you can see the kind of breakdown. Obviously, we had an unfortunate rehost.
No, those were the kills.
Those were the full stats.
Yeah, we had a very passive game.
A lot of pacifist rounds throughout this, but obviously that is just map 1. That is Clubhouse. And next, and they asked us before we came into this, they said, could you give some quotes about some of the maps?
Oh, God.
And Bank. The quote that was given for Bank, I believe, as a general consensus across all of us, was every single crazy, balls to the wall, quotable game I have ever casted has normally been on Bank.
I think, I'm going to get the percentage wrong here, but I think CGG said something like over 50% of kills that were happening on Bank were after the diffuser was planted during the last Pro League finals.
It's like the Twilight Zone of Siege for me. You go through it and you never know what you're going to expect.
The scary door.
The scary door. Because it is often terrifying, but also exceptional, explosive, and beautiful. And that is where we're about to go across two teams that have so far, as we said before, very, very good at responding to each other. Very, very good at this back and forth.
They can be, and also Spacestation, I think, have a big advantage here, despite the fact, you know, we saw how they were attacking on Club, and how they were just taking their time and just being very, very, very slow with it all. I think that's going to benefit them quite a lot on Bank, because a lot of that downstairs attack as well is all about baiting out utility.
But here we go into Bomb. Obviously, we'll now see a little bit of a difference. I'm curious to see if there are any changes in the in the operator bands in terms of responses against each other. Because I know that you said before, obviously, Buck is a ferocious one to fight at the same time, but we didn't really see too much of a definition. But Habana is the first one taken out by Spacestation.
Yeah, Habana's a pretty solid ban here. She's also a very, very common ban, honestly, on this map, especially at a Pro League level. Especially in LATAM as well, everyone bans Habana for some reason on Bank. So, yeah, we will see how that goes down. Accelerate with their ban is going to be Capitao. Again, really, we haven't seen any Capitao in both of the NA matches then.
You know, I kind of get it. Capitao is ferocious. He's terrifying. If you watched the EU games earlier, he was used pretty consistently and exceptionally deadly. It was often a masterclass in how to murder people as Capitao, and I think it's a very fair one to go, well, no, let's not play against this, because you've got to look at kind of what the opponents are doing, what they're bringing, and you know, when you are up against Spacestation, who are exceptionally utility heavy, if they've given just a little bit of an edge in terms of a utility that is known to be exceptionally powerful at the minute, that's pretty spooky. That's scary, door.
It's interesting that, so, you know, the Valkyrie ban coming out again from Spacestation, they've been pretty consistent with that
Yeah,
one.
they hate Valkyrie.
Maybe it's not so much hate. Maybe it's they love her too much.
They love her too much. They don't want her to get hurt, so they don't let her show up to get shot.
They didn't ban Valkyrie at all against Hab. They banned Echo and Mirror. So, interesting to see that they banned Valk both times against Accelerate. Probably a target ban here. We'll see how that does go through, as we are going to see Bank start out with those appropriate upper bands. Also, the Maestro is very interesting. The one thing I do want to point out, though, before we do get into it, is that Dina Deans pointed out in the Twitch chat something that we had actually didn't notice.
Oh.
Is that it's Spacestation Gaming, but their logo is a spacesuit. So why isn't it Spacesuit Gaming?
You know, I don't want to start asking these questions because the people behind their Twitter are exceptional.
That is true. We're just gonna move on.
And I
with this
don't want to be
roasted.
a victim of whoever runs their social media site.
Chicken goat, definitely.
We will see how it goes now as we go into the first round. And oh my, it is this bottom floor point. It is the old familiar of this. And as we said before, Bank, you know, not only is it a map where it kind of gets chaotic and has this atmosphere of crazy, but at the same time, it can be so tactically rewarding for teams that are tactically minded. It and Villa are often cited as those two maps that really kind of push the tactical mold. They give teams a bit of freedom, a bit of creativity with their great balance and width. Not to say the other maps don't, but this is why they're in the pool. This is what they can bring that sometimes the others don't really offer Oregon. But you know, I'm excited to see how these teams kind of bring it on this map and bring it against each other, especially obviously Spacestation, who we've already complimented on their kind of depth of knowledge of utility and how to utilize it perfectly, against a team that is often cited as being an amalgamation of a couple of different teams brought together.
That can be a benefit, but I think also against this kind of team, which is, I think Spacestation is very uncharacteristic, sorry.
Wow.
Of, they're cool guys, okay? I didn't mean that. I'm just bad at English, okay?
It's been a long day here.
It's been uncharacteristic of the other NA teams that they don't play nearly as aggressive as the other ones do, and I think that maybe some of the guys from Accelerate aren't used to playing against that, especially like thinking about Fultz and Merc here. So like that amalgamation might not be as strong going through as it was as strong as Reciprocity, who are a little bit more aggressive than Spacestation. But there we go. Rampy is going to be holding down blues. It's pretty typical for people to be trying to do, although people normally do hold it with shotgun, but you can hold it with with a shield and Jaeger. It actually might be a little bit more effective to do it this way, honestly, because Jaeger brings everything he needs for this.
Yeah, look at all those bodies. Oh, that was quick, fast, clinical, and deadly. They heard him putting the ADS down, and they went, nap through. We're going through the shield wall, and we're going through the man itself. And now they have that blue control. That was exceptional.
Something about that as well. They hopped over the shield to get the kill, obviously, right? But I think a lot of people actually don't know this, but if you Maverick the shield... Oh, no, they did do it.
Yeah, they
So if you Maverick the shield, it actually destroys the deployable shield. A lot of people don't seem to know that. You can also do the same thing with the sledgehammer from Sledge. So, yeah, if you didn't know that, you can do that. But they are going to get into their site. It seems they got both walls of server open, and Biologic just doing some work here onto the top. And just opening up the hatch. So they do have that site control basically, but now we get into that point where you have to bait out the utility. They have the Echo available to them as well, but we do have Merc on the IQ to be able to remove that. There's no Valkyrie, so really going to be relying on the Echo and the Pulse to give out that information. There is a Thatcher, and the Thatcher is a great way of dealing with both of these things. I think really you want to concentrate the Thatcher on getting rid of the Pulse information, but Crusher's just trying to move in and try and go for the plant and try and bait out some of this utility coming through. We do have Nitros up on the table from both Thinking Nade and from Charla, as we see smokes also coming out from Bosco. So loads of plant out here, honestly. With 30 seconds left to go, I don't see Accelerate actually pushing this through unless they just go for a really, really heavy push right now. And Crusher will start that off. He will get the kill onto Brian. It's a 3v5 as Crusher just moves all the way in, tries to get the plant down, but he's so low on HP right now, he's coughing up blood.
Well, 10 seconds left, and they still have C4s on the table. That is never a good sign because you know where they're going. There it gets thrown, and there is the kill. Charla finds one, and that is Crusher down with 2 seconds left. They have to throw everything that they can, and there's the C4 thrown as an example. Thinking Nade shuts down the round. Well, if you were to point out great utility usage, there is your stock footage.
Yeah, not just that, but great coordination on to use the smokes first, then to use the nitros to when they actually really have to go for the plant. So they open up both the server walls, and I was kind of confused why they did that to start with, because I thought they would have put one thermite on the hatch just to get it open instantly. But I realized now that they did it so they could try and plant at the back of server once they wasted all the smokes. But the disadvantage of that is you saw, I don't know if anyone saw that, but Crusher went in, he dropped the diffuser rather than planting it at the back of that server wall, then picked up the diffuser, then ran through the site to try and plant it at the default spot, and then he got nitroed. So that's unfortunate. We're going to see 6-bits come through.
I'm also curious. We're going to open area second as well.
Do you think the Nomad pick just came through to deal with the clash potentially coming through from Rampy, but he 6-picked onto the castle?
That is actually a very good shout. Obviously, with Capitao off the board as well, you need to kind of find a way to counter and push back the clash. And normally the go-to at the minute is Capitao, just put a little uncomfort underneath her feet, but then obviously bringing that Nomad as well as a way to push her off and force her off. Even if it doesn't get the knock on her, it forces her to have to either pull away pretty quickly or drop her shield and try and take some of the firefight itself. So, you know, it's a very, very smart move. Unless you get 6-picked off, which is a very smart move from Spacestation. But setting up for this open area hold, obviously we've seen this point played normally not second, I think is pretty fair to say. But it does get picked, it does get cycled in, teams have strategies, and as I said before, this is a map where a lot of teams like to develop strategies. They like to develop these plans and ideas and flirt with them and flaunt them and show them off, because it's still a map that can really, really brilliantly reward a little spark of creativity and chaos.
That's all you need, really, to push through these rounds. But the staff open area is actually a really good site if you have Mirror available to you. And, you know, the fact that they do should be going pretty well for them. They haven't brought the Echo, which might not be, you know, a massive threat to them. The fact that, you know, they're going to know that Accelerate probably going to bring IQ every single round. In fact, they did have it in their lineup initially, although they 6-picked it for the Nomad instead. And I feel like the Nomad pick was for the Clash. If anything else, he said there's no Capitao. You normally do see a Zofia, and we did see it from Hat that he tried to bring the Zofia to do that. So, yeah, we will see how that goes down. But achieved on the Sledge, one of his other famous operators, of course, as well, other than the book.
Soft destruction.
Soft destruction and vertical play is
soft
really
destruction.
is Achieved's big thing. He's all about it.
here comes Faults Bear, who we've seen get some pretty phenomenal kills earlier on. Achieved is digging for blood with that big sledgehammer, but so far no bites. Unfortunately, but again, having this vertical control, having the confidence to keep smashing, keep making Space Station uncomfortable in their defense, and you can see Crusher is starting to close down from Skylight Stairs as well. Biologic pre-firing down against them, but so far no bites, no pressure, and a minute 20. Time has never really been on Accelerate's favor so far today, and definitely Space Station has been better at utilizing it, better at keeping a bit of control of it, and the longer they have it, the more powerful it becomes. But there's the spots, and there's the communication and the teamwork coming. Unfortunately, nothing is going to come out of that yet.
Nothing coming out of it just yet at all, as we do see Space Station just really holding on right now, honestly. I mean, this is a site that really does detriment you when you do have that vertical play up, just mostly because of the way the mirrors are set up, right? Because you've got pretty much the mirrors just mostly being played around where Bosco is, and it's all about opening up these sight lines on the walls just to be able to shut down anything that goes through. So the vertical blade can get rid of those mirrors, and it can be pretty devastating to you when it does come down. But Achieve just drops on the elevator, but Rampy is waiting for him. The flying trap does come through into the form of Rampy. He does take down Achieve. Smokes are starting to go out as well to try and deny this entry, and they know that someone is, of course, in the elevator. Merc all the way in here, flashes Rampy 3 times in a row. Oh my god, Rampy just hits him with a left hook, takes down Merc, and Charlie takes down Fultz. It's going to leave Biologic in a 1v5 to try and bring it through, but Bosco won't let him have it. Space Station will take round number 2. And wow, Merc is upset about that one. I would be upset about that one.
I made an ungodly sound when that happened. That was unbelievable. The fact that it was a knife as well, because you throw 2 flashes, you know something's going on.
Pre-fired it.
He
pre-fired with the knife. That's not how it works, Trampy. Oh my god.
The perspective as well was that man turned that corner and that knife was already swinging. That was like the freeze frame of, this is me. Let me tell you how I got here. Wow, what a brutal way to end another man's life.
You know, I was thinking as well when he threw 3 flashbangs that he was going to go for the knife.
3. Well, the thing is as well, because we saw him turn away from the first 2. Rampy ignored the first 2. His eyes were shut. He was turning. He was facing the corner. And actually, as the third one came round, he swung back round to look at it. So it probably hit him, chances are. And
well,
yet
I think all 3 flashbangs did, because if the flashbang goes off within, I think it's a meter of you,
okay.
Even if you're not looking at it, you still
well,
get flashbang.
I would say he got very lucky that he remembered which way was forward. Then.
Maybe that's why he turned around, honestly.
Maybe.
But, you know, wow, yeah, Rampy's just the best, I guess. Like, I don't know, how else do you say that? He knows he's coming, he goes for the pre-knife, who does that? That's crazy. But we'll see how round number 3 gets underway, as we'll see Space Station go to a CEO defense coming through. Again, no echo, and I feel like if you're going to take an echo, it would be here, and you wouldn't take the dock, honestly, if it was going to switch out anything here. I think the echo just gives you so much utility here.
Well, one thing I'm also curious about is what they're kind of doing with information across that long site. Are they just going to kind of leave Bosco on the dock, kind of keeping an eye against it? Do they have a bulletproof potentially that they've thrown up somewhere as well, just to keep an eye? Obviously, Maestro is off the table, and that was very often in their wheelhouse. So kind of not having those big cameras as a utility, I'm just wondering how they're answering that hole with their strategies.
This is like the most default mirror setup you could possibly have with the conference walls. I mean, it's default for a reason, and this is really how you should play it. And we probably see an ACOG playing around Kanto when Bosco's playing there now, around just like the edge of Banana. So, you know, this is pretty standard from Space Station. Accelerate shouldn't really be surprised by any of this going on. It looks like they are going to go for a square stairs take, however.
Well, here comes Merc with the fast dash, trying to find this battle against the tip of that banana, trying to find and shut down the dock, who is actually pulled off just a little bit. Pulses underneath, Rampy feeding and filtering a bit of information the old-fashioned way, as Brian is actually ready to peek around. There is the bulletproof, and it's keeping an eye across the lobby and the windows, waiting for someone to go, and it looks like Bosco actually wants to pick a fight with anyone that might happen to repel against those big windows on the western side, but unfortunately no takers, no biters, as they very quickly get that CEO office wall open. They have IQ hanging on the windows as well. They have the cover, and there's so far nothing that is really biting against them and battling back. They've actually surprisingly managed to get a lot of ground against this default strategy very quickly. Don't get me wrong, there is still the pulse underneath. There is still a lot of information possibility. Here comes Merc for a firefight through the wall. Charla, that was beautiful and brutal in equal parts. But that was an exceptional shutdown as we start to see, again, this is the information pulse. Just watches a man die via his heartbeat. Bosco finds another one as well. Suddenly, it looked like I said they had all the ground in the world, and Spacestation out of nowhere have pulled the rug right from underneath their feet as Crusher still steadily crawls through into the CEO office behind the desk, just trying to find something against the Spacestation that are absolutely relentless right now.
Oh my god, Challenge is Y-peaking again, contesting that. Achieved goes down, but Crusher is going to trade it, instantly traded himself by Brian. However, a Spacestation taking their third round on the defense. And wow, Challenge is putting people in t-shirts today. That's crazy.
Yeah, that was a heck of a kill in the broadest sense of the term. Nice pick there from Crusher, but unfortunately a little bit too little, too late. It did take their flawless away, though. Get rid of the clean sheet as we go back down to lockers. Now, the last time we were here, we heavily complimented the utility usage of Spacestation, the use of the smokes before the C4s, the amount that they had, the information being fed to them. And it looks like the major change so far is the bringing of the Maverick, and I'm curious about where they're going to apply a little bit of pressure just to relieve some of that utility against that point, because obviously it is the default plant point for a reason. It's a solid hold and a solid push, but you've got to find a way to draw a little bit of SSG's attention away from watching it.
Also, I think that's the third time Crusher's done that today, where he's snaked his way into the site.
The man loves lying on the floor.
He loves the floor.
Loves the floor.
He actually loves the floor. We're going to go through into round number 4. It's going to be a basement defense yet again. If you remember the last time that this happened, we saw a little bit of a different setup here. Because they did play the Jaeger on the server stairs. I wonder if they're going to play a Mute there instead.
Yeah, well...
Actually, no, they shouldn't really play the Mute there because the Nitro.
Yeah, that's the thing about it, because obviously they did play it, and yeah, it's a pretty common idea. If you're going to try and hold on to server hatch, you throw the man on the stairs, you try and keep it for as long as possible, but all credit to Excelerate. They were exceptionally quick at shutting that down.
So, because they reinforced the server hatch, so is Rampy going to play there now? I feel like someone has to play here because they just put a mute jammer on the top of server
like
stairs.
Rampy might be. It's just kind of putting doors up everywhere, getting into the mindset of castle.
But they didn't reinforce it.
No, they did not reinforce it, but
he
they
was
are
doing it.
castling the stairs.
Yeah.
They are going to castle off blue stairs. They're going to
Okay,
pull
so he's
back.
not going to play there.
So no, they're just going to kind of slow it down a little bit, force a bit more attention on the hatch, and Mute is actually going to creep around there now. This is the whole game. This is the whole round. It's just he's going to be on blue stairs.
Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense for Mute to be playing here just because he has that Nitro, and we talked a lot about how this is really all about denying the plant and baiting out the utility, and the Nitro is really, really key to that in the late game. We did see both Nitros get kills during the last time there was an attack here from Excelerate. This could be pretty disastrous. So there's a mute jammer here, so that means that you can't breach charge it. That means that you're going to have to open it the old-fashioned way.
By burning holes in it, but here they're going for the... No, they're just going to burn off down as well. Crusher finds the fight against the Nitro. Look at the little amount of health that Mute is now on. He went for the boldest play in the book, but unfortunately it almost didn't pay off for Nade, who is now just going to try and hold in and dig into servers. Charla has actually rotated up to back him up. You can see Rampy is not far away as well on those blue stairs. They have thrown 3 people to battle this server's tight against it. Rampy is pushing aggressively in to the push, finds 1 against it as Biologic drops. There is the refract though as Merc finds the revenge. Charlotte's still feeding information, almost catches a man coming around the corner, but unfortunately thinking Nade is now stuck out on the island by himself and just going to try and dig in, hold on and keep this room for as long as he can, because at this point, what other choice does he have? They have dropped down. If he tries any rotate, any movement, he is a dead man. Merc goes for the push, sees over the shoulder. The Echo drone hits twice to try and save the life of Thinking Nade, who's going to try and peek around and get the kill with it. But look at all the time that's being eaten, and the frag, he pushes into it. Crusher manages to get the trade, but that is such a good play there from Nade to take that time. Now is there a minute as they crack it open, but you're still up against the smoke, you're still up against the pulse, and you're still up against an Echo.
And IQ's dead as well, so they're not going to be able to find Brian's Echo drone anytime soon as well. So Crusher and Achieve slowly trying to make their way in. Chala providing that active information, also has a Nitro of his own, and we've still got smokes up, and we've still got the Yokai up. There's so much planted out here. Everything is in Space Station's favor, as long as they don't mess it up. You see the long range of the Echo drone here. You can actually see what's going down. As we see, smokes are going to start to go out, and the Echo drone is going to be able to hit from there. It does have limited range, but it is within range. I think there's about 15 meters total. I think there's probably about 10 meters to the red hole. So, he's going to be able to do it there as well. Chala still pulsing it out, as well as really aggressive pushes coming out now from Spacer to try and deny the plant going down. Yokai still pushing out as Crusher is going to go for the plant of the diffuser. Nitro coming out. Bosco runs all the way through, and Bosco with the triple kill to finish things off for Space Station. Absolutely beautiful. Just waiting for everyone to drop down. The SMG-11 comes out, the double kill, the triple kill from Dylan Bosco.
That was a train of death that rolled through Excelerate.
And his name is Dylan Bosco.
And his name is Dylan Bosco. Wow, that was a heck of a way to shut that round down as well. From, you know, and we said it a little bit in the first map, but we didn't really see too much of it in terms of how Space Station, they're quite good at when the wheels start to fall off the wagon, they keep the wagon going, and the way that they played off the round, they lost the hatch, they found themselves a little bit stuck in the water, and yet they pulled these frags out of it, and they pulled these pieces of the attack apart, and it just completely fell in their favor. And you know, you can say it's luck, you can say it's skill, you can say it's timing, you can say whatever, but they are a team that are so dependable at getting that done and so consistent at getting that done, and it speaks volumes towards what they can achieve.
Achieved.
He's on.
Oh, sorry. We're getting to round number 5. Also, just want to note there that Rampy didn't do the whole Clash 6th pick onto Castle this time.
Okay.
He just picked the Castle.
Yeah, he just did it.
It feels like, you know, you used your trick, you've used it. They know you're not going to pick the Clash. I still feel like a lot of teams underutilize the 6th pick. Like, if you're going, you might as well just use it anyway, just hide something. Like, they could have hid the Castle hurt and not make it obvious they were going to a certain site.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I know that there was a lot of kind of back and forth about how it would be added to the system. I was one of the ones that at first I was like, 6th pick. But ever since I've seen how...
Well, I mean, this is kind of why you're gold for, so...
Yeah, this is. But ever since the game's kind of come to fruition and we've seen 6th picks really develop, I've kind of fallen in love with the system. As you said, yes, it doesn't get utilized all the time. There's some regions where they'll use it like never. I think NA, I would say, is one of the regions you see it more often. EU?
Some teams in EU. We saw the stream not really utilize it that much.
And oftentimes when EU do use it, they just 6th pick onto the same operator. Just to, you know, for the bounce. But at the same time, you know, you're right. It is a system where you can play around with it. I think the only worry is that you accidentally mess up and bring the wrong operator. But today we've seen a team accidentally mess up and bring the wrong map. So it's always possible to do that.
Well, there you go. Jackal tracking is going to come out from Fulton. You see this very spread out defense coming out from Space Station as well. They're holding stuff open area, but they're also holding onto Arcas. The last time Accelerate, they went upstairs and they opened up the vertical play, and Achieved was playing Sledge here, but he's actually playing the IQ this time and just pretty charging away what he can do here. And we'll see. Thermal charges are going to go down. They are going to successfully breach their way and see exactly what they can do about all of this. But we know Bosco is going to be playing around the mirror, but Fultz is going to be the one who picks up the first kill of the round. There goes Rampy, and already a 4v5.
Well, Rampy is always a tough one to lose first. We've already talked to Sways about his ability to pick up kills and pick out frags, and obviously when you kind of lose that kind of player on a strategy, things can start to fall apart faster. than they otherwise would. Excelerate are setting themselves up for pretty solid takes here. Obviously, the first time they were around on open, it didn't go so great, but they seem like they've got a bit more fire and a bit more pepper, and when you're 4-0 down, that's the time to bring it out. Thinking Nate does balance it back a little bit, finds Merc, and is creeping around towards those skylight stairs, trying to find someone on the top of the square, but Fault gets another as he shuts down Charla. And this is still just, you know, a creeping space closing in as they get into stock and start digging holes against this mirror.
Bosco holding down into the staff open area and see what he can do. Biologic just going to be pushing all the way through, and he did this last time where he jumped into the copy room window, but he was just on his own, and he was also crawling through here as well, which is, I guess, all of Excelerate just have this whole snake strategy part of their strat, but
I love it.
But the diffuser's actually going down. Crusher's actually in the site, planting the diffuser. I have no idea he's here. Cheap pick of thinking the plant has gone down. It's all down to Bosco and Brian to try and bring it in. As Crusher does pick up Brian, so now it's all down to Bosco. In a 1v4 clutch situation, he can't find the first. Achieve just shuts him right on down before he can do anything. Excelerate will finally find a round on bank.
Well, it's good to see, really, especially as we're just about to go into the swapping of the half. Give yourself a little bit of momentum, shake the kind of plan just a little bit, and give yourself a bit more confidence as you swap over onto the defense. But as we kind of look at the previous map and how it went, they did Excelerate lead after the first 5 on their defenses. They had a bit more confidence, I would say, across it. It was a pretty back and forth battle. There was never a point where someone was this many rounds ahead, but at the same time, SSG took 4 of their previous defenses, I believe it was. They've taken 4 this time round, so it's far from over, I would say. But we're going to head down to lockers as our first point here for them. And again, a good swathe of information and utility brought here.
You notice how Rampy, every single time they're in the reveal phase, he's always, confirming his loadout over and over again. Like, that is a sign of a man who is ready to get into the round and kill some people.
Or a man with a broken keyboard.
No, he's too good for that.
He doesn't need a keyboard.
He doesn't need a keyboard. He plays purely with his mind.
This is, you can find all of these facts and myths and more from our new book, Siege Facts, Myths and More, available at no good bookstores. But we see now, I'm curious to see where these mirror windows get set up on this basement. Obviously, a lot of the common ideas with mirror, she does get banned out pretty consistently on most maps. Bank is one where she's let through a little bit more common because she's not as controlling of the space. There's a lot more hard walls not far beyond her. It's a bit more limited on this map, but it still can be quite vital. As you've already pointed out, there are still default points for Mirror that are known as default points because they're very effective places. So it's actually quite nice and refreshing to see her bought.
Yeah, no, it is definitely good. This downstairs attack has just been such a ridiculous endeavor from Excelerate every single time they've gone here, but I feel like Spacestation can have a little bit of a better time with this. Just because of how Spacestation play. They play very, very slowly, and I feel like they understand... I mean, I'm sure Excelerate understand what needs to happen here. It's just they didn't act quick enough to try and act on it, and they wasted a lot of time last time they attacked here, clearing out Thinking Nade out of servers.
Yep. Well, that's exactly it. I mean, when they've been playing their strongest, they've been playing fast, and when they've been playing their fastest, Spacestation have been suffering a little bit, and this is a map, again, that can kind of complement that play style. It's very adaptable to both and how you want to kind of set yourself up. But you've got to look at the huge swathes of space. You've got to look at the team you're up against and how they like to play. Obviously, we can see Merc is about to find a battle with Rampy. Faults finds Charla as well, moving around upstairs in open. And again, this is what you kind of want to see them do. They need to play into the space. They need to play into the open. Look how active they are around this map. None of it is cold. All of it is a threat. All of it is a danger. So is vertical, as Merc just digs upwards and cuts a man in half.
That man had a family, and now he's dead.
Now he's dead, but Merc actually, again, pushes into the thermite charge, gets the double with the shotgun as well. Yes! This is what we needed to see from them to battle against Spacestation. As we've said many times, don't let them get comfortable. Don't let them have that ground that they want. And it's not even that it just comes down to firefights. It becomes a matter of, as soon as you find pressure, roll with it. Keep that pressure. Keep the momentum. Keep the map hot.
Let me just point out something, because I know everyone's going to start spamming in the chat now that Thinking Nate is saving the AWP. Clearly what they're doing now is that Spacestation are just talking through what went wrong in that round, just talking through it, just saying, okay, what we're going to do next round, where are they going to go, what do we want to do here? I feel like the pretty obvious thing here that went wrong is that Merc was on that flank the entire time, and Merc was pretty infamous on Organized Chaos for getting through these nuts flanks. I mean, when they played Tune Squad in the closed qualifier for CL on Bank, Merc was constantly getting away with these ridiculous flanks on Bank on Jaeger. So it's no trouble to see that Merc is constantly on that back foot as well, just constantly pushing into the flank of the attackers and just dealing them that damage. But there we go. Accelerate are going to take round number 6 and their very first defense. But oh, Merc is the one with the 4K. Beautiful.
Well, if it was anyone, it was going to be Merc. Here's the replay of that one, and then the shotgun switch to get the second as well. Exceptional push and sense there from Merc. And, you know, you love to see it. 4-2, we come back into Exec and CEO. A standard second point, rather than open, I would say, as we swing all the way upstairs again. And there is Clash on the table for now, but there's always that possibility of 6th pick by Biologic.
Yeah, there is that potential, of course, that we did talk about. We haven't seen anyone use Clash, and yeah, it is going to be 6th pick. So she's like a really dangerous operator to deal with, and you need very specific operators on the attack to deal with her. So she's actually a really good bait operator. So yeah, the 6th pick is going to come out from Bosco. There's going to be no IQ. Instead, they're going to be bringing the Sledge.
Sledge as Echo is the one that gets
also,
picked up.
something I want to point out there is that the thing I was talking about, whether in the reveal phase, he's constantly like escaping and confirming loadout. Merc was doing that this time, and he's on the dock.
It's spreading.
I think it's just a sign of a player who's ready.
Okay.
I think I legitimately believe that.
Okay. I don't think I've ever been. I don't think
if
any
you're
player's ever
like,
been ready
think
for
about
a game of Siege.
go into the mind of a pro player for a moment.
I really struggle with that, but okay.
Okay. Try your hardest.
I'm really,
okay.
Yeah.
You're sat at your keyboard. You're like, come on, I just want to kill these guys. Come on, you know. And he's just like,
space for space.
You know, just clicking away. Just wanted to get into the game. You know, he's ready. He's energetic. I like the energy.
I just turned my keyboard more and more vertical, but
yes, that's true.
We see them setting up again. We talk about default. We talk about places to put them. You can see the mirror windows going up in pretty much the exact same place. Curious what they're going to throw up on Kanto. The thing about ACOGs, the thing about Doc, and the thing about that top floor and Banana is it can be so brutal. People are more than happy to pick those firefights against those lobby windows, against anyone entering via the lobby doors. There's just so many places for ACOGs to pick fights on this map, and I think that really plays into the favor of Bank. Here is Achieved pulsing out everybody that is creeping up on that northeasterly side, or the southeasterly side even, but we can already hear bullets being thrown. This is Accelerate accelerating. They're putting more pressure, more pace, and more aggression into their defense. They're finding the firefights further and further away from the point, and it really is playing into their favor.
Throwing bullets?
Yes.
Okay, we'll take it.
I'm going to stay by that.
Well, okay, right. I respect it. Rampy is going to be here onto this north rappel, just see what he can do. As we go, soft reaching is going to come through from Rampy. Claymores go down onto square, and they're going to go for that square push. The big danger with this is, of course, the impact tricking, and of course, nitros as well coming out from CEO. So it is very, very essential for those Windows plays to go through. Not Windows, the operating system, of course. No. Windows, the Windows.
Technically, all these plays are Windows plays because the game doesn't work on Mac.
That is true. That is actually very true. That's a good point.
A minute and a half. Every single operator is still standing, which is often a rarity in most games, but not really when Spacestation is attacking. And, you know, if anything, I think normally I would say that's a worry for the attackers, but at this point, that's when Spacestation have been running their best. As we've said a few times, they're happy to play in those kind of final minute of the game, which other teams, at that point, they're like, oh, we need to start executing. We need to start getting ourselves set up. And you can see Accelerator trying to creep against those windows, see if they can catch anyone. Bosco's going to try and Kobe straight through, but no bites as Brian gets the other skylight stairwell wall open, flashing out to try and stop any impacts. The gun cover is there as well from Bosco, making sure that nobody gets it, and there it is open. Thinking Nate is watching the lobby doors as well well for anyone going for something aggressive and cheeky, which they've been doing very, very well. But there is Achieved going for a C4. Unfortunately, again, another whiffed explosive, the second at least we've seen it today, and it's just going to rotate back up towards the point, cover the mirror's side, cover that entire long corridor, and Fultz is going to open the frags against this sledge. Thinking Nade manages to get the trade against Fultz. That is that cover on that lobby that we were talking about before, and I guess Thinking Nade was just a little bit late on it, unfortunately.
Yeah, he was very, very late indeed. But it is a 4v4. We have lost Bosco, though, and that was the window player, so that might affect things in the long term here. But Proof is coming out from Biologic to make sure the push can't come through. Achieved, and he's going to pick up Charla, though. And Thinking Nade here, just repelling outside of Plaza, is going to be able to get another kill. But no! It's going to be Biologic and Achieved to pick up kills of their own. It's going to be Thinking Nade left in a 1v4. He's just way too far away, but Crusher, despite that, is still going to pick him up. And now it's a 1v4, and that just turns into a 0v4. That was honestly not good by Spacestation, I want to say. I think it was just more mistakes on their part than it was good play from Excelerate.
Yeah, things started to kind of close down a little bit for them. As we pointed out, obviously, Thinking Nade was set up to get that trade just to cover that window, and unfortunately didn't get there in time. And, you know, moments like that, when once or twice in a round it's bad, but when they start to add up, it loses you the round. You kind of drop the round, you drop the momentum, and you drop the point, especially when you're already on the back foot with momentum, because, yeah, they were 4-0, and now it's 4-3. And that's a very, very quick change of fate and change of hands. They're still closer to that end goal. They're still one map up, but at the same time, as soon as a team starts to get a bit of momentum and a bit of fire, it can be so decisive in how these rounds play out.
It can be, yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. I think that Excelerate have really proven how they're going to play this map now, and that Spacestation should be expecting a heavy roam game, which I think is why they brought the Jackal now from Charla. They're going to be expecting like a really heavy roam game, because both times now we've seen their defenses, we've seen Achieve from below, we've seen people playing above in stuff. When we saw a really great play from Merc, and that was playing off-site on the roam. So I think, you know, Spacestation are going to start to adapt now to what can actually happen. But Excelerate have been doing really, really well on this roam game and kind of individual performances to, you know, put down Spacestation's slow and steady playstyle. And we said this on Clubhouse as well about how you kind of need to get aggressive with a team like Spacestation. You can't let them play this patiently. You need to, you know, force them to run down that timetable and force them into positions where they don't have the utility that they necessarily need to put down the executes.
Yeah, totally. That's exactly it. You've got to kind of always try and be on the front foot, because, as you said, as soon as you kind of let them have that comfort and get both feet on the ground steady and be in that position, they can be so, so deadly. Because not only are they setting up, what they're doing with this time is not only are they setting up their plan A, they're also covering their plan B at the same time. They're giving themselves all that ground, and forcing them to go from one to the other faster than they would otherwise like to can often be the decider of how the rest of the round will play out. You can see, obviously, Achieved, a player that we've harped on more than enough about the talent and the gun skill, ready and waiting to find any firefights that might filter their way back towards the point. But there is the Doc picking the firefight on Banana, as I said the ACOG likes to do, but Bosco, who has suffered a fate so far already at a window, is refusing to let it happen this time around.
And Merc is just going to get put in a t-shirt immediately. He's going to go down. It's going to be a 4v5 situation now. Spacestation easily open up the square stairs, and so many things are going so well for Spacestation right now. They have everything they need, all the tools at their disposal to make sure this round goes completely their way. As Brian was very successful drone to achieve, he hasn't actually managed to find it yet. What is happening? It's just hidden. This is the best drone I've seen in the world. How has he not found this drone? Oh my god, Achieved is actually being ran around circles right now by a drone.
How do you hide a drone from a vigil? Apparently you just drive it around a desk, but Bosco is trying to act on again. He's got some heat. He's back on the windows where he suffered a fate before, but there is Rampy finding Achieved. Finally, the vigil is put out of a misery and a never-ending hell. Rampy with a second through Janitors, as Chala actually moves in around as well. Biologic has it pushed around the side, trying to peek against the windows, try and find the sledge of Bosco, who is obviously getting more and more comfortable. Is actually going to pull back round underneath Tellers and rotate back round. Obviously, the point is below, so they do need to start making their way downstairs at some point, but when you're pushing against a 5 versus 1, it is not a nice position to be in for the Echo. Going to just try and find a little bit of room to get a bit of a breath and find a bit more comfort. Going to battle against Thinking Nade by the looks of it, who's on the bottom of the stairs, but no, unfortunately you were unaware that the man was already there.
You're a poet and you don't know it.
We've had a very long day.
Yes, we have. It is true. For those of you who don't know, most of us, I don't know when you woke up, but I woke up about 8 a.m.
Yeah.
It is now 3:30 a.m. here in Germany. So yeah, it's been a long day for all of us.
It's been a good day, and
been a good
obviously we can only commend the production staff who have been doing this for 2 days.
Yes.
So we're like, yeah, we showed up at 8, and it's been a very hard day, but these guys they've put all this together in about a week and a half. And you know, we gave them enough. We gave them a lot of kudos before, but we can never give them enough kudos for the show that has been on. But 5-3, match point, map 2. They have 1 in the bank. 2 rounds currently separate, bringing this to overtime. Is the way around I was looking at that. And bringing and keeping themselves into this firefight. They are on a little bit of an uphill, but it is nowhere near over for them, I would still say. I have confidence that they can just find a little bit more aggression, accelerate, and a little bit more kind of ground that they have so far been able to pull back and win pretty consistently.
Yeah, no, they definitely have been able to win it consistently. I think that at the moment now, Spacestation should have a really good idea about what setup Excelerate are going to do, and they are going to go for the same setup they were doing last time as well. But Merc is going to be playing on the Jaeger rather than the Mute that he was playing last time. So I don't know if I like the Jaeger over the Mute here. I think that I can see advantages to both. I kind of prefer the Mute here just because he got a great kill through the vertical play as Mute, and I think that if he hadn't been playing the Mute with a shotgun, he wouldn't have been able to contest that, and he wouldn't have been able to keep control of the archives, which is ultimately what won them the round, really.
Well, obviously, I mean, we talk about getting that vertical kill from that ground floor to the first floor, and the point was on the bottom. Obviously, as we said at the end, they were having that moment to kind of talk about strategies, but the actual defenses that Excelerate had set up on the point were not tested at any point. They still had 4 operators left through a good combination and an exceptional push against it and play from the team. And, you know, as you said, though, Spacestation, they're a good team to respond to this stuff. They're a good team to pick apart what was kind of working and what wasn't working and start moving against it and moving across it. And here comes their final swing. But no! Bosco, as he drones out open in the lobby, just gets pushed by Fultz, who shuts that down with the camera creeping across. And it's just going to pull away, and that is a round-deciding kill.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. That's a massive kill coming out, because not only is that one of SSG's best players going down instantly, that's your nades off the table, that's most of your soft destruction off the table as well. Yeah, that is going to be really hard for Spacestation to recover from, especially if they can't get the refrag onto Fultz, because they're going to really struggle to gain a lot of control. But it looks like they're just going to go for a back take. This could actually be the play for Spacestation. If they don't have the sledge, it's going to be hard for them to just push through this defense and get control of the stuff open area. One thing they really have to be careful about here is the flank, because Merc is still alive and available here for the flank from Elevator, and he could just wait here for 1 minute, make sure they can't push Elevator, and then when they eventually go for the drop and they commit, because they can't keep playing people on this hatch, they have to pretty much fully commit to this push. He could just go for that flank. So they have to be very, very wary about that situation. And Merc's actually taken a much better position, and Fultz is up here as well.
Yeah, so again, this is what they've been doing pretty well, is they've been responding to the need for aggression with more and more aggression. You'll often see some teams kind of shut down and amongst themselves, but we've seen them push and push and push and push, and it has really come to fruition here. Merc starts shooting, but Fultz finds one from the top of Banana. Crusher actually started firing to distract them. Achieved finds another as well, and it is very suddenly a 2 versus 5. Yet again, a very aggressive defense, and yet again, it is working wonders as it is now Thinking Nade versus the world. Pulls the mirror down.
Oh, it was so close. He almost got the pistol whip. That's crazy. Yeah, but there we go. Excelerate are going to close it out. And really, I think it was all about the Bosco kill at the start. We did talk about how impactful that was, but that really did force Spacestation to go for that back take. And I think from there, I don't think that was a good choice for them, because they just didn't have roam control at all. They didn't have Faults off the board, they didn't have Merc off the board, and at that point, you're just going to get collapsed in on as soon as you try and do anything. So, yeah, Spacestation just put themselves in a really bad situation to start with there. So we are going to see that Vault defense be successful for Accelerate. We are still on match point, however, for Spacestation, but this could very easily go to overtime.
Well, the Kaid is swapped out for the Echo, and the opposite of the swap we saw before, actually, Sledge is being swapped for IQ this time round as well. So good kind of reaction there to, you know, feed into the fact that they are bringing this extra kind of threat and extra kind of damage. But here we see a bit more kind of pressure and a bit more kind of stress going along now. They are setting up those castles. They're setting up the ACOG across the top stairs. Obviously, they still have the Doc that often likes to play across a Banana as well. But I guess we'll see how that translates.
Yeah, we will see how it translates indeed. And it is match point. It is Spacestation who can end the series right here and now. They are 1-0 up. Of course, they have taken Clubhouse. This, I don't know. I just can't call this at all. This has been so close. And Accelerate have just been doing a great job at shutting down pretty much everything that Spacestation has done. I really feel like the roam game from Accelerate has been it's exceptionally good. I mean, you have players like Merc and Faults on that roam. It's going to be difficult to roam clear. But against a team like Spacestation, I really feel like they would have picked up the pace quicker on that. So, yeah, really commendable to Merc and Faults to do such a great job on that roam, and also achieved on the Pulse to do a lot with that as well.
Well, this was actually one of the things that you said at the very beginning of the day, is obviously Merc and Faults have come from a different team, and they're bringing strategies. And we said at the very beginning, it's one of those benefits of having a very malleable scene where you pop in and out pairs and triples, and however the scene kind of changes and chops, as the NA scene likes to do. I said the word too many times there. But this is when it works at its best, because they are bringing this playstyle as a pair that is being fed and filtered by the rest of the team, and it's working so well in and amongst and against Spacestation. And you know, that's the credit, that's the kudos that you have to give there, is they're bringing their A game from the other game.
Yeah, they definitely are. We'll see how the rest of it does go down, as we are in round number 10. Of course, this is match point. Spacestation, series point. That's achieved is going to be pushing it through onto the bottom of the server stairs. He did a really good job the last time they were here of just playing really aggro on this roam game, but he is going to get droned out. Rampy picks up the first kill of the round. That's already one of those pesky roamers out and about. Faults goes down, but I think Achieved is the real critical factor of this round, and if Achieved can stay on this roam and stay alive for long enough to have a really big impact, then he's definitely going to be a problem for Spacestation when they try and go for their execute. But we know Spacestation, we know they take plenty of time that they need to go for that execute. Last time, it was pretty bad for their late game execute. I mean, they just didn't have the control that they really needed. They tried to just push all the way through like a clown car, and it just didn't end well for them at all. And also this window control, I mean, it was there, but it wasn't very impactful. That's unfortunate.
That is very unfortunate. Oh no, that is a big loss in these dying throws, but there's 30 seconds to Spacestation. They have to utilize this, and they're gonna just try and throw the diffuser down as Rampy finds one, Bio finds another, and there is the C4 that drops one more. Suddenly a 3 versus 2, much more within the grasping realm of a man-down defender, but Crusher brings it to 2-2. Rampy suffers a fate as well. Echo is still on the board, as well as Mirror, whether she's got the C4. IQ has to swing and finds Mirror's brains, and now the diffuser is about to be planted. There it goes. It is down to Echo to bring this hope back for this spot in the minors. Pre-fires as IQ goes for a very wide hold against the window. Chalo is just going to creep behind the desk and get a little bit more confidence, but now they are in such a position of power. They have the window control. They have the room control. They just have to listen, just have to play this right. There is Echo, who somehow creeps around, but no! Bosco is the one to shut it down. Unfortunate to lose a man, but sometimes these stories have to end in these ways. Spacestation win the second map and win their place in the minor.
Yeah, big congratulations to Spacestation. I think they were kind of the favorites going through for this one. I don't think it was going to be any kind of surprised that they would take this matchup, but Accelerate put up a hell of a fight, especially on Bank. Like, they did really, really well there. I thought they wouldn't do as well as they have performed here. And of course, Merc and Fultz, again, have proven themselves to be top tier players. I'll be really surprised if we don't see them on some team, at least one of them on some team. But that means the end of our show, unfortunately.
End of today. End of today, which has been a lovely day. It's been, actually, I'm going to kind of go through a bit more about this. You know, it's one of those things that we have just kind of seen some matches today that I don't think anyone would have predicted. Obviously, the way it kind of played through there, we see the two winners. They were generally the ones that I say unpredictable matches. These were the two teams that were cited as probably taking these two spots. The Stream, juggernaut team from EU, and then Spacestation, who have already proven themselves on the
also,
big stage.
obviously not mentioned here because we didn't stream those games, but Team 1 did win the Latin America qualifier, so they'll be also heading to Las Vegas as well next month. So, yeah, very, very well played to them. And they'll be joining all the invited teams as well, and I think there's still one APAC team that is still to be invited and announced yet. So we'll see what that is when it does come out.
But that has been all from us as casters. I have been Fluke. I have been joined by the lovely Sternab and the lovely Hap, who has currently been observing. We've been swapping in and out all day. And for one last time, today at least, I'm going to be throwing you over to Nikita, our beautiful, beautiful host, who's currently still in the bomb room.
Just getting ready to fall asleep on this couch. Thank you so much, Fluke, and everyone. As I was going to say as well, to Hap in the back observing and Sternab, it's been an action-packed day. As you guys said it, you know, we've had a couple of 2-0s. The teams that we expected to win did win in the end, but I think the other teams were able to challenge them in a way that we didn't expect, and that was great to see. It's been amazing, so thank you from everyone here at Allied Esports. Thank you to the production team in the back who put all of this together and have helped create a great day. And most of all, thank you to everyone in the chat. It's been great to read your comments, to see the positive feedback, and we hope you'll tune in when we have the finals at the Luxor and the Arena in Vegas. So thank you very much, everyone, and good night.